It's the first time that a sitting chief minister has been arrested. And the Aam Aadmi Party is calling the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal the biggest political mistake of the BJP. Is that the case? Or will the Aam Aadmi Party now be diminished? I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus today is on the big Kejriwal arrest. This arrest took place late last night. Mr. Kejriwal was produced before a court, a local court in the national capital, where speaking to reporters on the sidelines of his court appearance, he said in Hindi, Mera Jeevan Desh ke liye hai. But of course, a political war has erupted. The arrest of Arvind Kejriwal in what's come to be known as the Delhi liquor scam, the allegation that the Aam Aadmi Party received 100 crores in kickbacks, has also galvanized the opposition, which seemed quite dispirited till yesterday. Will this arrest harm Arvind Kejriwal or might it help him? Has the BJP sent out a strong message, or is this, as the party claims, nothing to do with the BJP and everything that has been done by court process? In the middle of this debate, the electoral bonds data came out in full detail at exactly the same time. And why am I mentioning it? Because while it looked as if the Kejriwal arrest would devour the electoral bonds data, there are interesting details in the data, including a Hyderabad-based businessman who was accused in the same scam for which Arvind Kejriwal has been jailed. This accused gentleman, Sarath Reddy, has now turned an approval in this very same case, and the bonds data shows you that he purchased bonds, more than 30 crores of them for the BJP and 15 crores for the BRS. The BRS is also important to mention because K. Kavita, the daughter of K.C. Ramarao, has also been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate. To talk about the implications of everything that's unfolding, the first arrest of a sitting chief minister, let me introduce our guest on the program today. Joining us is Chitranshul Sinha, who's of course a lawyer and an author. Welcome to the program. Mohandas Pai is with us. He's an industrialist. He's an analyst. He's mostly a supporter of the Prime Minister, but does he think that the government has moved in the correct direction this time? We'll find out. Jasmine Shah, senior leader of the Aam Aadmi Party, is with us. Namaskar and welcome to the program. And also joining us on the program is senior law officer in the government and BJP leader Satyapal Jain. Namaskar and welcome to the program. Let me actually start with you, Jasmine, and then I'll come to Mr. Jain right away after that. The fact is that the charges are in fact quite grave. The charges are 100 crores in kickbacks received by the Aam Aadmi Party, where there's a whispered suggestion that Arvind Kejriwal has actually jeopardized the careers of his colleagues because by not taking responsibility of a single portfolio, he did not have to sign off on a single scrap of paper. But the Enforcement Directorate has actually called him the kingpin, the main conspirator. How do you defend yourselves against the meat of the charges? You know, you could make the argument that the ED is selective. You could make the argument that the ED doesn't act against the BJP, but that doesn't quite answer what's at the heart of these charges. How do you respond, Jasmine Shah?
Thank you, Barkha, for having me on your show. See, it's understandable if a BJP spokesperson gives statements and charges other opposition parties of corruption. But if ED also is going to restrict itself by calling names and issuing press statements and thinks that that can pass off for a true investigation, then it's very clear that ED is acting like nothing else but a political wing of the BJP. Now, this matter of the so-called Delhi liquor scam, which we've been calling it as a fake case, has been going on for the past 2 years. We are not talking in the first year or the first month of this investigation beginning. For the past 2 years, more than 1,000 witnesses have been summoned. 500 raids have been carried out. Almost all the ministers and their houses and their offices have been raided. Yet not a single piece of recovery has been made. Not a single rupee of ill-gotten wealth has been recovered. Not a single piece of solid evidence has been recovered. So then the question is, how is ED concocting this entire so-called scam? The entire scam, the basis of this entire so-called scam, Barkha, is statements that are given by certain approvers. And all of these statements also follow a very interesting pattern. Many of these people who were raided or made as accused, They first issue the first statement, second statement, saying that there is nothing that has come to our knowledge, everything is fine. Suddenly, then they are arrested, they are put in jail for many months, and then they turn into approvers, and then they suddenly recollect things which are completely divergent from their earlier statements. And this is a pattern that you see again and again and again. And the
Is your
specific
reference
case, I
is
will.
your reference to Mr. Sarath Reddy of Aurobindo Pharma, one of the companies that has actually donated or rather purchased bonds for the BJP, the BRS, and the TDP, and this gentleman, the promoter and director of the company, then turned approver, and in fact he purchased 5 crores of bonds for the BJP just days after his arrest in November 2022.
I'll correct a few data points. First of all, there are three key approvers. A gentleman called Dinesh Arora, who also earlier gave some other statements. He was arrested, and then after he turned into approver because of being arrested, he gave a contradictory statement. Then now come to Aurobindo Pharma. I'm glad you brought up this name, because so far BJP and ED have not been able to establish a single rupee of money trail that goes into any Aam Aadmi Party's account or any of their leaders. But Aurobindo Pharma, which was raided under the Delhi liquor scam by the ED, this was on 10th of November 2022. Now, between 10th November 22 and November 2023, it is not 5 crores, it is 35 crores that Aurobindo Pharma has donated to the BJP via electoral bonds. This data has come out only last night. So if there is one political party that has benefited through the companies who participated in Delhi excise policy, it is the BJP. Now, this is an established money trail, but nobody comes knocking on BJP doors. And what we are seeing is a travesty of justice, that without any evidence, this is the first time in history that number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 leaders of a political party are put behind bars.
Okay.
This has not even begun. The trial has not even begun.
I have to go to Satyapal Jain, but I have one question to you. Why did Arvind Kejriwal ignore 9 summons from the Enforcement Directorate? You can make the point about conflicts of interest thrown up by the bonds, about accused, turning approvers, their testimonies being the bedrock of this case, and I will take those points to Mr. Jain. But very briefly, why did the Chief Minister of Delhi ignore 9 summons from the Enforcement Directorate?
Barkha, this is a very important question. I'm glad you asked it. ED is not the word of God. ED also has to function as per the legal system. It has to operate under the constitution. And if any of your investigative agencies are taking illegal steps, issuing, it is our legal right to challenge those summons. Now, it's very interesting what happens. We challenged Mr. Kejriwal to every summons he responded, challenging the legality of the summons. It was the ED who went to the court saying that, look, Mr. Kejriwal is disobeying our summons. The court has not given the verdict in ED's favor. The matter is sub judice. And ED, rather than waiting for that, so ED doesn't respect court. It did not even wait for court to decide in this matter. It went straight ahead and arrested Mr. Kejriwal. So this actually proves our point that ED has no legal basis for the action. It is a completely illegal action, and only to stop Arvind Kejriwal and India Alliance ahead of a crucial Lok Sabha election. This is a model code of conduct. We've never seen not just a sitting CM, but such a senior political leader being arrested in model code of a conduct, when, if they really wanted to do it, they could have done it long back. Why wait till March 2024, days ahead of the first phase of the Lok Sabha election? And it shows that this is nothing but political conspiracy.
Okay, you've made a number of points, and now I must bring in Satyapal Jain. Mr. Jain, straight to you. You speak today as a senior law officer of the government, but also a BJP leader. So you understand both the law and the politics, right? The point being made here is that there has been no recovery of money. If this is such a big scam, then in all of these raids on Manish Sisodia's house, Sanjay Singh's house, Arvind Kejriwal's house, no money has been found. So what is the basis to make this charge? 2, how do you explain the timing? 3, how do you build a case of a man who was an accused, who's turned approver, who is subsequently found to have given money in bonds to the BJP along with other parties? Please respond.
Barkha, please, I'll request my learned colleague also, who very elaborately presented the point of view of his party. Let us understand the basic principle of the criminal law. Whenever any offense is committed, the information goes to the investigating agency. It may be a CBI, it may be police, it may be the PMLA, ED, or any other agency. There are some people who, after the commission of the offense, are suspect. They investigate the matter. The moment they come to know that no, out of these 4 or 5 suspects, these are the people against whom there is some evidence, they proceed further. Please understand one thing. Nobody is sent to jail either by the CBI or by the ED or by the police. Their job is only to investigate the matter, bring the entire material to the notice of the court, produce the person in the court. It is the court which will analyze the material which has been collected, then come to a conclusion. 3 things. Number 1, whether to send him to judicial custody, or to send him to police custody, or to grant him bail. The job of the investigating agency stops the moment accused, which according to them is an accused, is produced before the court. All this analysis, whether this evidence is sufficient or not sufficient, whether the money has been recovered or not recovered, whether the time is proper or no proper, this has to be appreciated by the court of law. And against the court of law, trial court, PMLA special court, high court, Supreme Court, and in number of cases, while granting bail, interpreting section 45 of the PMLA, I'm talking purely as a lawyer, the Supreme Court has laid down certain conditions. These are the issues on which, basis of which you will take a decision about the granting of the bail or the custody. Number 2, the basic principle of criminal law is any person having any information or knowledge of the offense, or if you are a suspect, even if you are not a suspect, police or investigative agency wants you to cooperate in the investigation, all citizens are supposed to help the investigating agency. You are supposed to go there, tell them whether I am guilty, I am not guilty, or not me, but somebody else is guilty. Give all the information, give all the documents to the agencies. The moment you start saying that, no, I will not join investigation, as a lawyer during the last 44 years, I can tell you in a number of cases where the anticipatory bail was granted or bail was granted, and if you don't join investigation, courts have been saying.
So are you saying? Are you saying?
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Just timing. As per my knowledge, no time has been prescribed in the criminal law as to how days before the election you can't put a trial, how many days you can't arrest or you can't prove a person. And model code of conduct, I have got the full set of model code of conduct with me. I have gone through from A to Z. I have not been able to find out even a single sentence which says any accused, howsoever low or higher he may be, will not be arrested during the model code of conduct. All these funny, in a nutshell, I say, now everything is in the hands of the honorable judge. He may grant him bail, he may send him to police custody, he may send him to judicial custodies. ED's job is over.
Okay, so very importantly, 2 points. Jasmine, I know your hands up, but just 1 second. Mr. Jain, your argument is A, this is all done by court. B, the moment an accused refuses to participate or cooperate with the legal process, he opens himself up to arrest. Am I summarizing you correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Jasmine, very briefly, I have to go to Mohandas Pai and Chitranshu. Very briefly, Jasmine.
The matter is being pursued simultaneously by the CBI and the ED. We have fully complied with the CBI. In fact, Mr. Kejriwal, in last year, August, he appeared before the CBI, sat for 9 hours and responded to all the questions. The problem is the way the ED has been functioning. It is functioning as a department or a political wing of the BJP, and the actions that it has been taken so far and the selective manner in which it has been avoiding, investigating all the people associated with BJP makes it very clear. Now, if ED was still very sure that its summons were legal, we have the right to challenge any action of an investigative agency, then the court should have ruled in its favor. ED itself went to the court. The court has not said yes or no to ED's argument that our summons is legal, which means that this matter is sub judice. Why doesn't ED does not have faith in the court? What was the need to precipitate action days ahead of the Lok Sabha election when the matter was already being heard in the courts?
Okay, I'll take that back to Mr. Jain, but let me bring in my other 2 guests. Also, it's important to note that today the Supreme Court has dismissed a petition by the centre that sought the review of a judgment which held that the ED must furnish the grounds of arrest to the accused in writing. This is not specific to the Kejriwal case. This is the general point. The Supreme Court has held that the ED must explain the basis of arrest of an accused in writing. The centre sought a review of this petition. The Supreme Court has dismissed that. Now, Mohandas Pai, the optics. What do the optics look like? Yes, Mr. Jain has said the model code of conduct does not talk about this period, not being open to a possible arrest. But what will be the perception? The perception might well be, and suddenly you see an otherwise dispirited opposition kind of coming together. The perception is, The Modi government is either nervous or vindictive. And you've seen the data. I think the Indian Express was the first to report it. We can bring up that slide of how the argument has been made that the Enforcement Directorate has been selectively weaponized. Selectively weaponized. You see the numbers on your screen. It is nobody's case. I'm not an investigator. I don't know if Arvind Kejriwal is innocent. But isn't it curious that the ED is rarely used against BJP leaders? That's the question that the opposition is asking. Mohandas Pai.
Barkha, to me, the most important reason is there have been 8 or 9 summons, and this person was sworn to uphold the constitution as the Chief Minister of Delhi has not appeared before the ED for all those occasions. If he had appeared before the ED and then he has given all the details and cooperated with the law enforcement authorities, which is the duty under the law, being the Chief Minister and a citizen, sympathy would have been on his side. He has evaded all the notices. He has not gone there. And I think just 2 days back, the matter went to court. And I think a court in Delhi said that they're not going to stay in the arrest. They asked for some information. The ED went to the court hall and in the court, and in the court, there's a term there, and showed all the evidence to the judge. And after that, the judge said, we're not going to stay the arrest. And the arrest happened after that. I think, if he had only cooperated, the situation should have been different. Public sympathy could have been with him. He could have said there is a wrong person. But you can't evade 9 times, 8 times, and go on abusing people and saying they're all wrong. That's just not done. That is the major point. Now, this data saying...
So you're saying, had he participated or cooperated with the agencies, the public perception today might have been different.
Exactly. Public perception should have been different because, ED has asked him to come once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. The man played games. And he's the person who's always claimed he's above everybody else, he's the highest honor, he's fighting against corruption. I also gave him some money. I also gave the party some money long back, thinking that he's going to bring about change. The number of people who are disappointed with him is very large because he stood up for probity. He's broken every rule in the bank, rule on the ground in doing all this. I think that's a major problem. And he's gone to court 2 days back. The arrest took place only after that. Now, your statement about 95% being opposition and 50% being UPA, I think is a statement which all of us as citizens should think about very deeply, whether the ED has been vindictive against people in the opposition. That's the real point. I do wish the ED will stop arresting people, stop going against people, complete the charge sheet, go to court and get a decision from the court to indicate the stand that all of them are corrupt and all of them should be charged. Because once you overdo some things like this in a one-sided manner, it raises doubt in the minds of people, which is very, very unfortunate. And I think
so you're saying you don't have personal sympathies for Kejriwal, but you do believe that the ED's overarching authority that seems to be, or a perception is building that it is selective, is something that the BJP and the government and the ED itself should think about, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. For example, I've seen instances where the ED whispers to some journalists who are their favorite journalists. They write articles about a likely ED action. Then when people ask them and others, they say, no, we are going to do this, we're going to do it. Then they start acting. I mean, there have been instances. There have been other instances about something I don't want to talk publicly. But I think they have to correct the perception. To me, the important thing is for investigating agencies, within 6 months, they must finish the investigation, file a charge sheet, go before the court and get a verdict. If they go on delaying and put people in jail for a long period of time, there will be no public sympathy with the ED or the government. I think it's very important for them to clear the air because as citizens, we should not live in fear that so many people can go after you and it can be interminable. Like somebody said, the fact that a pre-trial you're put in jail for a long period of time and you're harassed is enough to break anybody. And, it is something that should not be done. And that creates a lot of fear. And that is very worrisome for me personally.
Okay, Jasmine, just hold on. Chitranshul's been waiting. I'll come to you and Mr. Jain right after that. Chitranshul, what's the point? Satyapal Jain makes the argument that this is all by court process. In fact, as we are speaking, we are awaiting the judge has reserved the order in the immediate sort of remand trial that was to take place. The Enforcement Directorate has asked for 10 days of custody for Mr. Kejriwal. What's the principle of law at stake here? How do we reconcile this with the Supreme Court also saying that the ED must furnish in writing the reasons for arrest of any accused?
Mr. Shah seems to be outnumbered today, so I'll make points both against and for the motion here. See,
Okay.
as far as Mr. Janis is saying that it's the court which actually arrests, it's actually not the court which arrests. The arrest is actually made by the ED, and the court will then decide whether the arrest is correct or not, and whether the remand is to be made by the police to police custody or judicial custody. So the arrest is in fact made by the ED. Now, going back to the previous point, which both my learned co-panelists were saying, that Mr. Kejriwal evaded summons. See, that is a political stand that he chose to take, that the AAP chose to take, that they are not going to respect ED summons. That is a political stand, but at the same time, they should have taken a legal measure of also challenging the summons or seek quashing of the summons. While that may have gone against Mr. Kejriwal, but the point that has to be seen here is that this arrest of a sitting chief minister has created a very unique and unprecedented constitutional crisis. Why I say so is that the AAP and Mr. Kejriwal have already declared that he'll continue to be the chief minister while he's in jail, while he's in custody. Now, it has to be seen whether, number one, this is possible or not, practically possible or not. Well, I read some reports saying that the jail manuals do not say anything about such a situation because that's never happened. Number two, Mr. Jan also pointed out the model code of conduct about arrests being made during this period. But this is not a simple arrest. This is an arrest of a sitting chief minister. An arrest should have been made in this case only if it was absolutely necessary. Arvind Kejriwal, to me, does not appear to be a flight risk. Arvind Kejriwal, to me, does not appear to be a person who will be influencing witnesses at this time because the original complaint was filed in August of 2022. If something would have been done, it could have been done already. So the ED needed to show how he was a flight risk or he could have influenced witnesses despite the case having been pending for almost 1.5 years, where he's not an accused in the main case. He's not an accused in the CBI FIR. He's being prosecuted now under PML.
Can I ask you something though? You said that there's a possible constitutional crisis. You're not sure that you can have a chief minister from the inside of jail. This is a very important point. I want you to just briefly comment on it, and I'll go to take it to Jasmine and Satyapal Jain. Why do you believe that it raises legal questions?
So, like I said, a chief minister working from inside the jail has never happened. So we don't know whether the current rules of the jails, whether do they even allow it or not. Whether would they allow functioning of a government from within a jail? This is unprecedented, like I said. And whether not permitting that would give rise to a constitutional issue because he's elected chief minister. So that is where I say, and whoever I've spoken to have all responded to me by saying we don't know because this has never happened. So that will definitely come before the court. It will definitely come before the court.
So in a moment, Mr. Shah and Mr. Jain and Mohandas Pai will respond to the point that you've raised about a possible constitutional crisis. But because memory is so short, it is important to remember that the Aam Aadmi Party was born from an anti-corruption movement. Mohandas Pai made the argument that he, in the beginning, like many idealists, believed that this was going to be a great thing. Now he's disillusioned. This was an Anna Hazare, Arvind Kejriwal-led movement. Today, Anna Hazare also issued a statement. Let's take a look, and then I'll come back to this idea of a possible constitutional crisis if Kejriwal continues to remain the chief minister from inside jail. This is Anna Hazare on the Kejriwal arrest.
और शराब के बारे में हम लोग आवाज उठाया था। आज वो शराब नीति बना रहा है, जिससे मुझे दुख हुआ। लेकिन करेगा क्या? सत्ता के सामने कुछ नहीं कर सकता।
So clearly, Anna Hazare has turned against Arvind Kejriwal for entirely different reasons involving liquor. But I just wanted to rewind to take us back to that moment in history. Jasmine Shah, Arvind Kejriwal may or may not come out of jail immediately. We don't know, right? The fact that the AAP has said, A, that he will continue to remain chief minister, B, as Chitranshul said, you took a political position that you will not cooperate with the summons, you called the summons illegal. It seems to me that there was a political calculation that you were daring the agencies to arrest Kejriwal. And now that he's been arrested, you are playing victim. That's what some might say. But that all of this has been politically calculated. Somewhere you believe you might get sympathy, electoral sympathy. Because while your party has done very well in the assembly elections, it's never done equally well or well at all in the Lok Sabha elections. And this is a sympathy move. Some might say that. We'll look at the slides of the results in just a moment, but do respond to A, constitutional crisis. Is it legally tenable? B, were you daring an arrest? Jasmine.
Barkha, many of the panelists have said that this is an unprecedented situation. And let me say that it is not AAP that is responsible for this unprecedented situation. It is Mr. Modi who's decided to politically weaponize the investigative agencies of this country, initiate a case where after 2 years and more than 500 raids and not a single penny being recovered, not a single solid evidence being recovered, he has put the top 4 leaders of a national party in jail. I would, I'm not able to recall even a partial democracy which does this to its national parties. We are seeing this happen. As for Mr. Kejriwal, he is one of the most popular chief ministers. He has 62 out of 70 seats. The people of Delhi have voted him to become the chief minister. Few months back, we took a poll. We asked people, should he remain the chief minister or not? Because ED and BJP leaders were threatening that we will arrest him.
But were you daring the agencies to arrest him? Is this
not
a
at all,
political
Barkha.
strategy? Is this political strategy? You're allowed it, but is it political strategy?
Barkha, I will say what the truth is. It's up to the viewers to believe in it or not. As I said, CBI and ED were simultaneously probing this matter. We have always complied with each and every matter or every summons that is issued as per law. With CBI, we have fully cooperated. Mr. Kejriwal has even appeared. There are hours and hours of questioning that has happened. As far as ED's summons are concerned, we did not ignore it. We responded with the full legal set of questions because it had a lot of gaping holes. And last week, we even went to the High Court requesting the High Court to intervene and declare these summons as illegal. One of the panelists said that you could have approached the court. So we actually approached the High Court. Now, did High Court dismiss our petition and said, this is nonsense, you should immediately go and respond to the summon? No. The High Court accepted the petition. It said that we will hear the matter, and it has posted the next hearing for April 22. So again, this brings me to the point that what we have been saying, that the entire goal of ED was to arrest Kejriwal. You know, from day one, it was very clear that ED's sole purpose, because PMLA is a draconian law, bail is impossible until the trial is completed. Trial never starts for years together. Out of 3,000 cases, only 25 have reached conviction stage. So it's very clear. It's the process that is the punishment. And today we are seeing the proof is in the pudding.
Let Satyapal Jain respond to that. And then Mohan, I want to know why you were smiling when Jasmine said that we have cooperated with the CBI. We have cooperated. Satyapal Jain, 2 questions for you. The same questions raised by Chitranshul. Is there a point of law that tells you whether a sitting chief minister can run a government from inside jail? Question 1. Question 2, to Mohandas Pai's point of view, that, the Enforcement Directorate is now building a reputation for being selective, having too much authority, and being able to induce an environment of fear, not just among politicians, but even among industrialists, among regular citizens. Mr. Jain.
2 things. So far as the running of the government by a chief minister from the jail is concerned, of course, this situation has come for the first time in the Indian political history. And I will say that the last chapter of the Indian judicial history has not been written as yet. Whenever the problems come, solutions also come. Mrs. Gandhi's election was set aside. She was supposed to resign, but she did not resign. Emergency was imposed. Situations come and they find their own solutions. To my mind, the arrest of a chief minister, and if he is not given bail by the court, he is sent to the judicial custody or the police custody, the ED custody. I think, as per the constitutional standards requirements, I personally feel the person concerned must resign. Let the government be run by somebody else who is running the government. But that is only my personal assessment. I can't comment more than that. So far as the question of other things are concerned, I have all respect for my learned friend who very sincerely and seriously put his point of view. See, when you try to find out political solution to the legal problems, these are the issues that come. The issue is whether ED has summoned you. You are supposed to appear there or not. You take a political decision, not I will not appear. And when the legal fallout is there, then you say no, it is vindictiveness. He named the Mr. Narendra Modi for I don't know, but for it has been named. See, it is not Narendra Modi who has arrested him. It is not Narendra Modi who will be now remanding him to either police custody, judicial custody, or so and so. Please remember one thing in the entire criminal law, whether you are accused of murder or SFIO or Prevention of Corruption Act, the only job of the investigating agency is to arrest the person, produce him before the court within 24 hours, and then the court decides whether to send him to jail or send him to home. You are saying the people have been falsely implicated. I don't want to name those people, 3, 4 people, well known faces who have been declined bail by the Supreme Court, who have been declined bail by the High Court. Are you saying they are or the asking of the government? Please go for the legal system. And third, I agree with you on one issue. The total Indian criminal law jurisprudence needs to be redefined. There is a basic fallacy. If there is a doubt, you will be booked. Doubt is sufficient for booking you. And after trial by 5 years, doubt is sufficient for acquitting you. If there is a doubt, you will be given the benefit of doubt. There are many other things. Trial should be in time. Evidence should be led in time. Decisions should come in time. I'm personally of those views. But I will once again request them. It's a serious legal issue which is having political fallouts. Let us wait. How does other agencies, how does other authorities react to that? And last point, please, in Bhajanlal's case, 92, as back as 92, Chaudhary Bhajanlal, when some case was registered against him, he went to the Supreme Court saying, the complainant has lodged a complaint against me because of political malafidis. Supreme Court says, no, I will request my friends, please study that judgment. The malafide, even if they are of the complainant, is immaterial. The question is whether the allegations are true or not, whether the allegation has some force or not. Simply saying vindictiveness, this man not arrested, that man not arrested. Article 14 is not available in criminal law. That is only civil law.
That is such an interesting idea that Article 14, the right to equality, is not available for the opposition to say the ED is only being weaponized against us. What matters, Mr. Jain is, I think, trying to speak. Let me just let's unmute Mr. Jain, sir. What are you trying to say? Boliye.
You can't say in the criminal law that since you have arrested me, arrest my opponent also.
I get what you're saying.
No.
Let's get Chitranshu to respond to that. By the way, the Congress yesterday said that it is financially crippled in connection with an income tax case. They said the notice went back to 30 years ago. We just have breaking news that the Delhi High Court has said that the Income Tax Department appears to have collated substantial and concrete evidence against the Congress to warrant further scrutiny and examination of its income. This is relevant because Chitranshu Satyapal Jain just said all that matters in court or before a court is the allegation true or not. The court will not possibly get involved with what the opposition is calling selectiveness of the cases. Article 14 doesn't extend to the accused in that sense. Do you agree, Chitranshu? And then I'll come to you.
Article 14 would extend in all cases where there are some arbitrary actions taken by the state. As far as the ED is concerned, ED is also state. So if ED takes arbitrary steps, it's always for the contrary. I know Mr. Mohandas is shaking his head, but unfortunately, that is how the law stands. And arbitrariness can always be looked into by constitutional courts, be it criminal law, civil law, it doesn't matter. So that issue will come up before a constitutional court if some arbitrariness is happening.
So someone can go to court and say the ED is biased. Is that illegal? Satyapal Jain is saying that's not a legal argument. That's a political point. It's not a legal argument.
See, the standard of proving that would be extremely high. That is all I can say. Because the burden of proof would be on the person who will be making that allegation, and the standard of proof would be very high in a constitutional court. But as far as you're saying about the Congress income tax issues, on a lighter side, when this government took power, it was on a plank of Congress Mukt Bharat. But now it seems that we're heading towards an opposition Mukt Bharat altogether. And let me say, all the opposition leaders must be beware about where all their cases are leading. If some old cases are coming up, because Hemant Soren was recently arrested, cases are popping up all across the country. And to help Mr. Shah, like I said, I'll speak for both for and against the motion. While Mr. Kejriwal should have challenged the summons in the first instance itself, not after the 8th, 9th instance. But yes, I agree that a sitting chief minister should not have been arrested like this. And the point that Mr. Jain made about the courts deciding who goes to jail or doesn't go. But see, the point is that usually magistrates, especially subordinate court magistrates, get into a mechanical exercise. I mean, if I may say so without offending any of the judges who may be watching this, but subordinate courts get into mechanical exercises of remand. They leave it up to the constitutional courts or sessions court to then overturn it. And it's a case of 10-day remand with the holy period coming in between. So getting legal recourse is going to be even more difficult if a remand order is passed. I don't know whether the order has already been passed or not. I don't think
No,
it has
not
been.
yet. No,
Yeah.
not yet. We're waiting.
So,
We're awaiting that order. I'm sure Jasmine will also get an alert. We've been checking that order hasn't come. But this is an important point that subordinate courts tend to respond in a mechanical way, which is why all the bail applications eventually end up at the highest court. Namondas Pai. Bail is supposed to be the norm, not the exception. Bail, as a principle, is supposed to be the norm, not the exception. Keep investigating Arvind Kejriwal. Let him take part in the elections. That would be the point the AAP would make. Yes, yes.
You murder somebody, then you go before the court and say make bail. Court will not give bail. It's only for bailable offences. Bailable offences which are not beyond 7 years or whatever it is. You go murder somebody, you're caught, you're put into jail, then say give me bail. Will the court give you bail? I think this statement has been torn out of context. We got to understand the backing for the context. And see, Barkha, there are 2 or 3 members of the AAP party who are in jail, who have filed innumerable petitions for bail with all the courts, and all the courts have refused. The Supreme Court has got extraordinary power under the Constitution to release anybody and pass any order it wants, because Supreme Court makes law in the country. It is not bound by the Constitution because it interprets the Constitution and it makes the law. Now, the Supreme Court has chosen not to give bail to people. That means there is some case. Supreme Court will not take the decision easily. They've gone innumerable times to all the high courts. So this idea that I am above the law is something wrong. If you are promised to uphold the Constitution, you cannot go for the summons once, twice. They should challenge in court. They should appear before them.
Do you feel sorry for Kejriwal, Mohan?
No, I don't feel sorry for Kejriwal because he has not appeared before the ED despite 8 times. What is the message he's sending people in this country? That you can all break the law. You don't have to respond to anybody. You are above the law. You are a politician. You're the greatest person. That's not the way. If you're in a position of power, you must go. Remember, when Narendra Modi was called, he went before and he made the statement that I have to uphold the law. Please remember that, okay? These people accuse Narendra Modi of everything that happens in this country. Even if tomorrow falls sick, they say Narendra Modi did it. But the point is, 8 times, 9 times has not gone before the court. I know that now the ED has arrested him, taken him to the court. Let the court decide what it is. If he had gone before the ED and challenged the ED, gone to court first time, second time, it would have been good. Sympathy would have been his side. Now, whether it's guilty or not, for the court to decide, not for us. Whether ED is illegal or not is for Jasmine or me or you to decide. It's for the court to decide. We are not constitutional. We are not constitutional courts.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah, that's a fair point. And Jasmine, Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh, these are all not Satyapal Jain, but what I'm missing a name here. Jasmine, let me unmute you. Satyendra Jain. For a moment, I was going to make a terrible Freudian slip and I said Satyapal Jain, sorry. I was like, they're both Satyapal Jain? No. Satyendra Jain and Satyapal Jain is here. Sorry about that Freudian slip. Jasmine, Satyendra Jain, just yesterday is sent back. Manish Sisodia, no relief from the court. And whom am I missing? Sanjay Singh. Right? These have all gone through the process of the court. This is not, unless we're saying that the government runs the courts. Are you saying that?
First, let me give a very brief response to Mr. Mohandas Pai's point that, ED has issued summons, so you should show up to ED's door. ED may not have faith in the courts because they did not wait for the courts to give its decision. But now I'm wondering if Mohandas Pai ji also doesn't have any faith in the courts because the legality of the ED summons is sub judice. I've mentioned this on your show 3 times. It is sub judice in the Rouse Avenue court. It is sub judice in the High Court. The matter is being heard. If it was such an open and shut matter that it is legal or illegal, the courts would have thrown this petition of Aam Aadmi Party or even the ED. So let's have faith in the courts, Mr. Mohandas Pai. We have challenged the decisions of the ED. We are within our legal rights. And, ED doesn't want to wait for court, and that is understandable. Now, second point, you talked about why is Aam Aadmi Party leaders not getting bail. This is a very important point, Barkha. PMLA was not such a draconian law until 2018. In 2018, it was the Modi regime that amended the PMLA law, introduced many sections, which eventually boiled down to the fact that in normal jurisprudence, you are innocent until you are proven guilty. But if you have, a case of PMLA is put against you, which is, by the way, invented to catch people involved in narcotics and terrorism and, those kinds of crimes. But under PMLA, you are guilty until the trial is completed and you are proven innocent. and the judge can only give you bail if they are completely sure that you are innocent. Now, no judge will say that until the trial is over. So the point is that the law has been weaponized. The law is selectively put on opposition parties. And I welcome Mr. Monda's statement earlier that, if the entire process was within 6 months, which is a very legitimate kind of a request to anybody who, today we are accused, but tomorrow Mr. Pai will be accused. It can be weaponized as it has been weaponized on many industrialists. And there is no answer forthcoming. Last question. One question I would like to ask our panelist, Mr. Jain from BJP. How do you explain this entire phenomena of Aurobindo Pharma? A party that was raided for money laundering gives 35 crores to BJP after this entire matter. And this is not the sole exception. 14 out of the top 30 donors of BJP are all those who were raided by ED and CBI. And after the raid, they donated large sums of thousands of crores to the ED. So who's the most corrupt party in the history of independent India? Please answer to that.
Mr. Satyapal Jain, surely at the very least, I don't know what Mohan thinks and Chitranshu thinks, but a conflict of interest arises when you look at this Aurobindo Pharma gentleman, Sarath Reddy. Hyderabad-based businessman, promoter of Aurobindo Pharma, accused, arrested on the 15th of November 2022. Days later, his company gives 5 crores to the BJP. Overall, he gives more than 34 crores, 15 crores to the BRS. So does this not, this is all in the bonds data. It's available on the Election Commission website. We have the slides on our screen. Do respond, because he's a key, his testimony is a key testimony. And the opposition will say he has given money to the BJP just days after he was arrested.
See, two things I want to say. Number one, yes, so far as the Arvind Kejriwal's involvement under PMLA is concerned, this incident cited by him has nothing to do with that case. Don't try to divert the attention from the PMLA section to the bonds matter. If they want to have discussion on the entire bond matter, which is electoral bond matter, which is pending consideration before the Supreme Court, we can have full one debate on one day. I again say, if you have any material against any person who is accused of PMLA or who is accused of any other offense, the doors of the courts are always open. Barkha ji, you know very well, the entire Chara scam of the Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav was by the petition filed by Mr. Sushil Modi and Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad in the Patna High Court. You have every right to go to the court. You don't believe in court. You don't believe in law. If the PMLA Act has been amended and made more strict, who did it? It was done by the Parliament of India. Are you challenging the power of the Parliament to enact law? Are you above the law? Law may be, if it suits you, it's a good law. If it doesn't suit you, it's a bad law. You have to follow the law of the land. If the law of the land says Section 45 has to be complied with, it has to be complied with. And last argument, will anybody believe that a person of the stature of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, his entire team, was not aware of all these sections, was not aware of all the judgments, was not aware of all the fallouts? Why did they take so much time? Why did they take a decision to not to cooperate with the ED? And last question, Mr. Shah said, matter is pending in the Delhi High Court sub judice. Mr. Shah, a request was made, a prayer was sought to the ED in the Delhi High Court, restrain them from arresting. The Delhi High Court declined to say that. Simply because some petition is pending doesn't mean that the process has come to a stay. A stay which has not been granted by the court, you can't presume that, no. Since I have filed a petition, therefore, whenever there is a case against you, file a petition. During the pendency years together, no action can be taken.
Let Chitranshu just come in, Jasmine, and then Mohan, and then I'll come to you. Chitranshu, please.
Just a couple of quick points to be made here. Just because something is legal does not make it correct. Does not make it right, as history has shown us. There may be a future legislation or a Supreme Court order which might say that something which is legal today can be declared unlawful or unconstitutional later. So let's not stand on that platform today, because innocent until proved guilty is the cardinal law, and some laws are contrary to that, but that is up to the court to decide and will decide in the future. Secondly, I'm not very comfortable with approvers per se. It is a legal process, sure, but nobody can deny that there's an element of quid pro quo there. And here, with like Mr. Jain said, do not get into the issue of electoral bonds, but we must get into that issue. If electoral bonds have been purchased and paid to a particular party by a witness who turns approver for a case against the opposition, then the courts must be extremely cautious when they consider his testimony. extremely cautious and must see if there is evidence which corroborates what he says or not, and cannot take his statement alone as a cardinal truth. And number three, just a correction that I want to make to what Mr. Pai said, that murderers cannot get bail. Mr. Pai, even murderers in this country can get bail. Just because a provision is non-bailable does not mean that the court cannot give bail in that court. It simply means the police cannot give bail. Even non-bailable offenses can be bailed. And in this particular case, it's an economic offense. And if at all it is proved to be an economic offense, even in this case, bail can be granted. Under
Yeah,
PMLA,
I think the conflation between economic offences and murder, Mohan, is not a fair one. But I must pick up this point about Aurobindo Pharma, because Satyapal Jain says it's a diversion. Talk about the issue. But Chitranshul, as a lawyer, says if the entire or if the meat of the prosecution's case is built on an accused turned approver who has also donated in bonds money to the BJP, among other parties. He's also given money to the TDP. He's also given money to the BRS. Does it not raise some moral questions, even if not legal questions? Mohan,
Barkha,
I know you're a fan of the bonds and you don't agree with the Supreme Court judgment,
Barkha,
that's not what we're debating here. Yeah.
What is the moral question? He has bought and given some bonds. It could be innocent. Let it be agitated in
He's
court.
bought the bonds a few days after his arrest.
Barkha, it doesn't matter. Let them agitate in court. Let the court decide. Let the court. Why are we passing judgment on the court? The court should ask him, okay, a few days after you arrested, you bought the bonds. Why did you do it? Let the court ask. Let him answer in court under oath. Then we'll know the truth. Why are we passing judgment with half information? It is just a matter of fact that he bought it after some time and gave it to two political parties, right? You saw that guy, the person, the lottery person. I mean, I don't know whether he has so much of profits to give 1,500 crores, or is money washing, or many things happening. And you know to whom he has given money? One of your favorite politicians from the east of India. Not
why
you,
my favorite politician?
Media. I mean, the media's.
So, Mamta, let me explain. Santiago Martin gives more than 500 crores to the Trinamool Congress, 509 crores to the DNK, and so on. So the bonds do raise all sorts of questions. But in this case, Mohan, do you not believe that there is a conflict of interest? Conflict of interest.
But Barkha, I will not believe there's a conflict of interest unless the matter is agitated in court and is established. Because there are many reasons why people give money. There could have been earlier commitment to give money. He got arrested. He kept his commitment. People just don't decide immediately, I'll give a bond. He also gave a bond to the BRS as somebody else. He has given
15 crores.
So
15 crores to BRS.
Let's not pass judgment. The fact is, he could have given money in cash. He could have given money in cash. Why give in a bond? Because once you give in a bond, it can be tracked today, later, somewhere it can be tracked. It's a bond. It'll be in these accounts. It'll be in income tax returns. So I think, Barkha, the important thing is, let us confine ourselves to this case. Here is the chief minister who has to obey the law. He has not obeyed the law, the summons, for 8 times. He went before the court to ask for a stay of his arrest. The court declined to give a stay of his arrest. He has been arrested. He'll be produced before the court. The court will pass judgment. And let us leave it at that. Whether it's illegal or not is for the court to decide. Why are we passing judgment? But to me, 8 times and 9 times is evaded. That is not expected of a sitting chief minister. That is very serious.
Okay, Jasmine, there's a fair question in Mohandas Pai's point that if 34.5 crores in bonds were given by this company and actually some more by its associated companies to the BJP, 15 crores was also given to the BRS. The BRS's K. Kavita is one of those arrested. So if you want to make a linear argument that they gave money to the BJP, they also gave money to the other side, which was the BRS. So are you diverting from the meat of the allegations that Satyapal Jain says?
Barkha, I do not know what BRS has to do with Delhi liquor case, because it is about Aam Aadmi
Kavita is arrested.
So that's a story.
Kavita of BRS has been arrested. She's seen to be according to the ED, member of the South cartel that gave the AAP 100 crores in kickbacks. Mr. Reddy of the Aurobindo Pharma is meant to be the part of the same South cartel. You can't now say that they're not connected, but go ahead.
No, so that's a story that has been given. We have not seen any evidence, and that's the point I was going to make before you interrupted me. The point here is that Aam Aadmi Party is at the receiving end. All its top leaders are being imprisoned. We have not received a single dime from any of the people who are being called as accused in this entire so-called Delhi liquor scam. But the But BJP, which has benefited from 35 crores, it's very nice of Mr. Mohandas Pai here to say that, oh, let the court, it be established in the court, who are we to pass judgment? But he's already passed judgment on the fact that Mr. Kejriwal needs to be behind bars. For 2 years, a matter is being investigated. There is no evidence. The entire point that we are also making is that we will cooperate with the investigation, ask questions, take documents, but this practice of showing up on somebody's door in the middle of the night, imprisoning him, and the trial has not even begun, that is political victimization. This is as black and white as it gets, that today Mr. Modi is so fearful of electoral defeat, he would not want to fight opposition parties on the political pitch. He wants to use... Please let me allow me to finish, Mr. Pai.
Okay, Mohan, 1 second. Mohan, 1 second. Okay, Jasmine, finish.
I did not interrupt. Please have the courtesy to listen to me.
Okay.
My point is that, this entire rush to declare all the Aam Aadmi Party leaders as corrupt, because you have not found any evidence, you are not able to defeat Aam Aadmi Party in many of the battleground states. And just before Lok Sabha election, I think one of the panelists said, what was the need to arrest him at this stage? Is he a flight risk? Is he? I mean, he could have, campaigned in the Lok Sabha elections. He could have complied with any summons or investigation. But we have been saying from day one that ED is not interested in investigation. In 2 hours, they decide that Mr. Kejriwal is the kingpin. So it's very clear where are they getting their directions from. And I think today, it's a fool's errand to think that ED and CBI are not following their orders from their masters in the BJP.
Okay, Mohandas Pai, you said Mr. Modi or the government. Let me ask my question. That the government is blamed for everything. But there is a fair point in saying that you're investigating Kejriwal, you impound his passport, set him out of jail, let him take part in the elections. That will at least address the perception of political victimization, right? I mean, do you not? What do you think that that's a fair outcome of somebody for somebody you're investigating, but who's also a sitting chief minister?
Barkha, let the court decide today. Why we're coming to conclusions about anything? I'm sure the court will decide in wisdom what is there. Remember, I think many people have fought elections when in jail. I don't know. I mean, we should ask Satyapal ji to talk about it. Many people have fought elections when in jail and not been convicted. See, Barkha, these people are living in illusion and making speeches agreement. Narendra Modi is afraid of Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal. Arvind Kejriwal is irrelevant to the 2024 election. Where is his power base? Delhi? Well, let us see whether he wins in Delhi in Lok Sabha. State, yes. Punjab, there are 2-3 states. The total seats that Aam Aadmi Party has any influence is so small. I mean, I don't know why they come with this. Narendra Modi is afraid. Live in delusion. You see, tackle the thing. Why did you not address the summons? Why didn't you go to court much earlier and fight it out and say summons are illegal? Why did you turn your back to all the summons? Then you went to court after the 8th time. The court said, yes, we are not going to stay the arrest. Then you are arrested. You are produced before the court. Let the court decide. Why are we putting in all these arguments right now? I mean, I don't understand. To me, this is the biggest thing that we have.
But you have many opinions on so many things. As someone who was an ex-supporter of the Aam Aadmi Party, Mohandas Pai, do you believe Mr. Kejriwal in election season should have the freedom to politically participate in the electoral process?
Yes.
You do believe that?
Everybody should have the freedom to participate in the electoral process. You see now the Democrats are going after Trump right now, right? I don't want this to happen anywhere in the world. Everybody should have the right. Now you cannot, if the court says, yes, I'll give you custody for 10 days, 15 days, the elections are a long time away. There's still time. We hope that he'll participate. He will go and campaign, and whatever happens, the people of India will decide. Everybody should have the freedom to participate unless you're held guilty and charged and put in jail by a court order. And even then the court may give you bail pending appeal. So let us hope that he'll participate. He should participate. All right.
Okay, let's take final comments. Satyapal Jain, no order yet. We've been checking literally every moment. No order yet on the remand. But Abhishek Singhvi, the lawyer for Arvind Kejriwal, did say that there is no need or necessity to make an arrest. And the law officers argued that willful disobedience of the summons had created this basis for the arrest. Is that basis sufficient? Because that basis is not connected to the essence of the charge.
See, this question can be answered only by the honorable judge who is going to pronounce his order. In the court, I'm very happy. Both the sides have put their point of view. All the arguments in favor of arrest, judicial remand, police remand, bail have been argued. Let's have faith in the court of law. Let's have faith in the Constitution of India and the law established by the courts. The judge has three options. As a lawyer, I can say, number one, to give custody to the ED for 4 days, 5 days, 7 days. Second, to send him to the judicial custody. Third, to grant him bail. Whatever
Right.
decision court takes will be followed by reasons. And that is why the Honorable Court has taken 2 hours, 3 hours to write the judgment and the order. This order will be in public domain within a few minutes or 1 or 2 hours. After
Yes.
that, if there is a mistake committed by the judge, there is an option to go to High Court or to Supreme Court. And the leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party, not only Aam Aadmi Party, all those who have been involved have been going to the courts.
Can I ask you? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Everybody has a right to participate in the election, take part, subject to the law of the land. Nobody is above the law of the land. If the law says you have been arrested, you can be arrested, and court puts its seal on that, you cannot say that simply because I want to contest in the election, therefore whether I have committed an offense or not, don't touch me. No. Everybody is equal before the law. Maybe a PM, maybe a chief minister, maybe a minister. You have to follow the law of the land. Options are available to you.
Is everybody equal before everybody equal before the ED?
Yes, everybody is equal.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Abhishek Singhvi is a very senior lawyer. Can you think of it that he will not put any argument which goes in favor of the defense? Can you believe?
Can I ask you before I go to
yeah.
Okay. Sir, you said personally you thought Arvind Kejriwal must resign. That's what Hemant Soren did as Chief Minister of Jharkhand. He resigned. There was another leader put in place, and he was then taken into custody. Why do you make that argument?
Yes. 1998, I was in Lok Sabha at that time. The news came that Mr. Lal Krishna Advani's name has been mentioned in the Hawala. The man resigned from Lok Sabha there and then.
I remember.
And said,
I remember that.
Yes. There and then he resigned and says, I will not come to Lok Sabha so long as I'm not cleared by the court. Shri Madan Lal Khurana resigned as the chief minister. Mr. Yashwant Sinha resigned as leader of the opposition.
Right.
What do you think?
Yes. But these are moral arguments, not legal ones at the moment. I'm coming to you, Jasmine Chitranshul. You said there might be a constitutional crisis on this point. Who will take that before the court? There is the public interest litigation already before the court, by the way, asking for Kejriwal to resign. But go ahead.
That PIL might not be maintainable as such because you can't ask for a court's writ to make a CM resign. That call has to be taken by a constitutional court deciding whether this can be continued or not. Obviously, see, Aam Aadmi Party is not going to take it to court. It has to be decided by the court in some petition. I don't know which form it will take because this is new for all of us today. Yeah. And I'm glad Mr. Pai brought up Trump because I would not have done that myself. I do not want to compare Mr. Kejriwal to Trump. But Donald Trump is also accused of extremely grave crimes and both civil, criminal proceedings pending against him. But in every proceeding on day one, he was granted bail. And he's been going around the country campaigning. So it's not that he's in jail today, but that's like I said. The thing is that campaigns are going on. Yeah. Whether it's a political call or to allow the ED whether it seeks further remand or not, whether if it's granted remand today, then whether it seeks further remand or not, it's a call that ED has to take. But politically, the perception is there that it is a vendetta against the opposition.
So here's, because I think I'm been a journalist too long, almost 30 years now, Jasmine. My cynical theory continues to be that Arvind Kejriwal willfully did not accept the summons because somewhere there is a political calculation that this could translate into a political opportunity. Are you seeing this moment as a political opportunity, Jasmine? I think you're muted at your end. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Barkha, I would again correct you from this. I mean, to say that Mr. Kejriwal spending the next few months during the Lok Sabha campaign inside jail and not out there campaigning amongst the people is more beneficial to AAP. I don't think it doesn't make sense from any angle. But now that he has been put behind bars in such a brazen fashion, will lead to a political lashing at the BJP, which I feel. Already today, we are seeing scenes all over the country of people protesting on the streets. In the days to come, the number of calls that just I am getting, since last evening, people who completely, people are not fools in this country. Yes, people have voted for Mr. Modi. They voted for him to actually do something with India, to take the country forward. But the manner in which he is going out to annihilate the opposition, freezing accounts of certain parties, completely buying, the most tainted leaders, people like Ashok Chavan, Narayan Rane, Chhagan Bhujbal, bringing him to his party and stopping investigation, to the extent that in Mr. Chhagan Bhujbal's case, ED says that we have lost track of the file. File gum ho gayi hai. Isliye now we will not oppose his bill. I mean, you are making a mockery of due law and order of India in front of the outside world. And questions are today being asked as to, the slide of India towards an authoritarian regime is almost certain. Now, where will it stop? The people of country will decide in the upcoming elections.
Mohan, you are laughing because Mohan, you are holding your head and laughing because
Barkha, this is totally absurd and delusional and ridiculous to say India is sliding to a thing because the Arvind Kejriwal did not obey summons for 8 times. Then he was caught and put in jail, so democracy is gone. Is another person saying democracy has come to an end because my bank account is frozen after I have not filed my income tax return, after the court has given a verdict and everything. My bank account is frozen. This is totally ridiculous, Barkha. The matter is before the court. When the matter is before the court, that is rule of law, the court will decide.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with democracy.
Okay.
If you have not done it wrong, the court will decide you're innocent. Let us have faith in the constitution, rule of law, because we all depend on rule of law, not the rule of man. There is no.
But I think we could agree that there should be a finite timeline for these cases to be tried.
Yes.
Mr. Jain, you were trying.
I can say only one thing. Mr. Narendra Modi will come back with flying colors. और मैं कह सकता हूं ना खंजर उठेगी ना तलवार इनसे, ये बाजू मेरे आजमाए हुए हैं. You will see on.
Okay, we will leave it there with apologies to Satyapal Jain today for confusing him with Satyendra Jain in a brief moment of middle-aged amnesia. But thank you. This has been a lovely conversation, an important conversation. It has become a debate around democracy because the opposition is framing it as that, and it will be intriguing to see how the voters respond to that. We still have no order. The judge is obviously applying a great deal of thought to this order. It's going to be an order that's going to be much discussed. The ED has asked for 10 days in custody for Arvind Kejriwal. Leaving it there, Mohandas Pai, Satyapal Jain, Jasmine Shah, Chitranshul Sinha, and to our audience, thank you. See you tomorrow. Mojo Story has always made a commitment to its viewers to go to where the story is. And as you can see here, we are at the epicenter of the Israel war on Gaza. We are right at the front line, about 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, as the Israeli military gets ready with its tanks and its gunners to begin its final frontal assault that will take troops into Gaza. As we said, we are not like other organizations. We believe in giving you all sides of the story objectively and as much as possible from the ground. And that's exactly what we're doing here, covering the biggest global story today from the epicenter of the war zone. So please, we need your support. Support us, become a Mojo member, subscribe to us, spread the word, and thank you for your support.